So here in this video I will talk about the enum fields, right? So in previous video we have seen that what is enum and how we create the enum constants. Here we will see some more concepts of enums actually. So as I said, enums is nothing but it's a constant, a certain set of constant. But I also said, if you remember, I said you can create constructor in the enum, right? You can create constructor in the enum, and whatever constructor data has, your enum will take the same type of data. So if you look at here, we have a package here, right? We have a package, we have a class, and then from here till here, this is the enum constants. So you can say that this is the enum class, right, which has a constant here. So here if you try to if you see here is, here constant has a value 5, spring has a value 10, summer has a value 15, and fall has a value 20, and then you have here semicolon. In previous example there was no semicolon, right? Here there was no semicolon because this enum constant, whatever data you had, okay, these were all default constructor data. You didn't had any data after this, right? You didn't had any data, so you don't need semicolon. Semicolon is not required here, right? Whereas in this case, if you look at after your season data, you have a private variable and then you have a constructor. This is the part of this enum constant. So what you have a private variable and then you have a constructor. So you know that why I'm saying constructor, because the constructor name and the enum class name is same, so it is a constructor. One more thing, here what you need to understand is enum always will have only private constructor. You cannot create any constructor, you cannot create a constructor with other access. So whenever you have a enum class, you need to create the constructor with private access only, right? And then what you have, then you have a value, right? So this value will get initialized by what? By this constructor. By this constructor, whatever value will come here, your this dot value. So this dot value is nothing but your enum variables will get initialized with this local variable. Now we will see that how this will help us, right? How this will help us. So this is the other example where you can supply the data to your constants, right? So let me show you with the example. Yeah, look at this example. This is very good example where you are supplying the data to your constants. So the benefit here is, if tomorrow I need to know what is the data for the spring, what is the data for the summer, and what is the data for the winter, I can easily make out. So how do I make out? The simple way is this way. So I can just call season dot winter, right? I can just call like this. I don't need to do anything else. So I can call like this. What happens when we write like this, season dot winter? So the moment we'll call season dot winter, winter has a data of 5. So this constructor will get invoked, right? This constructor will get invoked at the runtime, and for this, when the moment this constructor will get invoked, for this winter object, the value data is going to be 5. So this constructor will get invoked with 5, and this value will be 5. So if I have to run this, let me show you. So on runtime, what will happen? This constructor will get invoked, and you can see that. Okay, so what it got printed? It got printed winter. So what I need to do is winter dot, I need to print value. Okay, because this data is getting invoked, right? So Java applications. So now you can see that 5 is coming here, right? So the data for winter is getting printed. Now let's say I need to call from the different class. I can call that. I can go to the example 2. uh, this example to what you have a season, and then you have this data, right? So how can I call this? Is it possible to call from the outside class? Let's see that. Season dot winter. Sorry, my eclipse got crashed. So what will happen here is when you will try to call from the different class, and the moment you write season dot winter, okay, so you'll get one red mark here. Why you are getting a red mark? Because this guy is within this class example 2, and then it has a season. So one way is you can import this, you can import the class to this class. So I have this season in example 2, so I can import example 2, and then dot, you can print a name. So this data, the value will get executed here, and if I have to run this, so if I have to run this, yeah, let's see that what output will come. So we should get the value is equal to 5, right? Okay, because enum, whatever, whenever you design an enum class or enum constant which has two methods, one is name, which is provided by the enum class itself, so it will just print you the name of that. But when you say dot value, because what data was getting sliced, if you remember, so value is getting sliced, right? Because in this constructor, let me show you in example 2, if you remember value, right? So this value is getting sliced, but the problem here is this member is the private member, right? This member is the private member, so I cannot access from the different class. Constructor I cannot make any access apart from private, but this guy I can access by doing a getters. So I can write public, and I can write int get value, and here I can return value, which means whatever data will get in sliced on that object, I can make get value, and the same data will get printed. This you guys know that, right? Because object will get one copy of your all non-static members. So even on it will get this method, this will this method calls actually this variable, this value, which is nothing but your enum class constants global variable. So I can access that, right? Now on this winter, instead of calling value, what I can do that is I can call get value. So when I will call a get value, now I can get the data from the enum constants. Run as. So you can see that 5 is coming here. Similarly, you can print other data also. Apart from winter, you can print spring also. The other way is, so let's say you don't want to import this, right? So you can write here, right? In this case, even though this is not imported, okay, even though this is not imported, you will not get any issue here. You will not get any issue because you are accessing the enum this through class reference. So class dot enum, so you know that enum are by default final and static, right? Enums are by default final and static. So I can even this even your this internal whatever enum class, you are saying that it's a final and static, which means I can access through class reference. I can just write example 2 dot season. That is the reason when I'm writing example 2 dot season winter get value, I don't have any error, whereas here I have a error, because here season, this season is the enum which is within the example 2, so directly I cannot access. To access that, I need to import the class. So instead of that, you can write like this, the error will go off, right? So here instead of winter, you can use any other data, you can use a spring, and both will work fine. So that's how, when you have a enum constant which has a value, you can print value like this. For that, what you need to do, that is, whatever variable you have, you, and if it is a private, you need to write one public getter that will help you to get the value of this enum constants. And again, why we are able to supply the data to this enum constants, because we have a constructor, right? Let's say if this constructor is not there, if this constructor is not there, you'll get a compile time, because when you don't write a constructor, compiler will keep by default constructor on behalf of you, which we have seen in the example 1. Here we were able to create enum constants, because though we have not written default constructors, compiler was keeping on behalf of us. But in example 2, we cannot do that. When you want to supply the data to your enum constants, you need to design a constructor which will tell your enum constants what kind of data your enum constant can consume. Okay, so here parameterized constructor is mandatory, right? With this, I'll close the video. In next video, we'll see some more concepts of enum. Thank you for watching this.